American League wild-card race should be a fight to the finish, with 5 teams in the mix for the vital playoff spot. Tonight, Tampa Bay begins a 12-game stretch versus playoff contenders as the Minnesota Twins arrive at the Trop, fresh off their 4-game sweep of the Baltimore Orioles. After a 10-game road trip, the Rays return home to Tropicana Field. This will be the opening of a 6-game homestand, first game of 3 against Minnesota. And in the wild card, the Rays 2.5 back. You can see essentially 5 teams clumped there battling for a spot in the postseason. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. So good to have you with us. Well, the Rays were 4-6 on the road trip, but they've won 10 of their last 14 at home. They're hoping that they can carry that trend into play tonight with Nathan Karns on the mound.
Well, and Nathan Karns has been so consistent for the Rays, and if you go back to his last outing against the Houston Astros, he was fantastic. He went 6 strong innings, gave up 6 hits, just the 1 earned run while striking out 8, and we know all about Nathan Karns, the fastball, the curveball combo. However, he used his changeup extensively against the young power-hitting Astros and with great effectiveness, so it'll be interesting to see if he brings that out here tonight, because that was a real viable weapon for Nathan in his last outing. He may need it against this guy right here, because you talk about a guy who has burst on the scene with big-time power, and you're talking about Miguel Sano, up from Double-A, and look what he's done just in his last 13 games. A .340 average, 6 home runs, 16 driven in. Keep him in the yard, increase your chances of winning.
Well, the Rays are chasing, among others, this Minnesota ball club. A win tonight would pull them even with the Twins. Todd Callis will try to sort out all of this wild card race when we come back. And by the way, welcome back for Todd Callis.
For the 19th time this year, the most ever in franchise history. Evan Longoria getting ready to get this thing going. For the Rays, they had won 3 of their last 4 on the road trip, but in the process, they actually lost the game to the Minnesota Twins, who swept the Orioles in a 4-game series. So the Rays start the night a game behind Minnesota in a bunched-up wild card picture. Here are the thoughts of both Curt Casali and Evan Longoria about this crazy wild card chase.
There's a lot of games to play. I mean, there's really not, but there is. You know, every game right now is important, and it seems like every game is kind of shuffling the deck as far as where people are, and so just trying to go out and play. You know, worry about that and try and win and let the chips fall where they may.
We're close. It seems like we'll win 4 in a row and then we'll lose 3 in a row. So it's kind of, you know, we take 2 steps forward and always 2 steps back. So we need to start eliminating, you know, the big losing streaks and keep winning when we can. And you know, we had a good weekend out in California against Oakland, and came back a couple times, which was really encouraging to see. So you know, we know it's in our DNA, and we need to keep battling and keep scraping out some wins like that.
Twins won the series up in Minnesota. They have not defeated the Rays in back-to-back series in almost 10 years. Tampa Bay kicking off a 3-game set against the Twins in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Enjoy all the action with Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson right here on Sunsport.
Rays and the Twins square off tonight as the big right-hander Nathan Carnes goes to the hill. Rays come in at the 500 mark, 62-62. Minnesota 2 up at 63 and 61. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Rays, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Byron Buxton's going to lead it off at center, followed by Brian Dozier, and then Joe Mauer. McGill Sano, the DH, hitting cleanup in front of Trevor Plouffe at third base. Eddie Rosario's in left, Torrey Hunter in right. The number 8 hitter is the catcher Kurt Suzuki, and Eduardo Escobar, the shortstop, hits ninth.
Well, Nathan Carnes coming off of a strong outing against the Astros in Houston. 25th start of the season, 7-5 record, 3.44 earned run average. But if you go back to July the 21st, in his last 6 starts, Nathan 3-0 with a 2.81. Let's take a look at the defense and see how it's going to line up behind Nathan. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, we have Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, and Grady Sizemore. Across that infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Asdrubal Cabrera, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney with Kurt Casale behind the plate.
So the Rays all set to square off against Minnesota. Over the last 5 years, the Rays 23-9 against the Twins, but they're 1-2 this year, dropping 2 out of 3 to the Twins up in Minneapolis. Here's Buxton stepping in. First pitch of this game presented by Pinch a Penny, and that's in there for a strike. Buxton in 15 games, hitting .207. Ground ball headed toward the middle, and there's a base hit. Well, that first inning has been an issue for Nathan Carnes, and off the breaking ball, a single into center.
As he tries to settle in and get all of his pitches sharpened, that has been an issue. And a nice job by Buxton there, staying inside that breaking ball and going right back up the middle is what you've alluded to, Dwayne.
Yeah, 7.5 that first inning ERA. And when you look at his numbers overall at .344, it's striking the difference and how difficult it has been at times for him to settle in. Paul Molitor, the first-year manager for Minnesota, looking on there to chop to third. Longoria will take it to first to get Dozier, and Buxton moves into second.
And I wonder right there if Evan Longoria had trouble getting the ball out of the glove or just thought better of it because of Buxton running. His ball not hit that hard, he gets to it. The first thought is to get the lead runner. I just think he didn't get a good grip on the baseball, had to readjust and take the out over at first.
And with Buxton running, you don't want to take any chances there, particularly early. So he's at second. They do get the out at first, and Joe Mauer, who has, as you know, through the years been tough on Rays pitching, hitting .268 overall, but he's been very good with men in scoring position this year. And he has one out there right now already.
And really that has been the story of this Minnesota team. I mean, a lot of their offensive numbers are not going to jump off the board at you. However, when you talk about that category right there, the all-important category of runners in scoring position, look where they rank.
Yeah, take a look at that on the leaderboard. Second only to the Blue Jays, our Buick big matchup. And we know what the Blue Jays have been doing recently.
They have absolutely maximized their, I don't want to say potential, but opportunities. And certainly that is what has kept them afloat here in the wild card race.
See Molitor, a native of St. Paul and a first ballot Hall of Famer. Carnes misses again here to Mauer. One on with one out. The young slugger Miguel Sano is on deck. And Mauer takes that one wide for ball 4. So Mauer heads to first. Buxton's at second base. And so a major threat about to step in. As you profiled in the open, Miguel Sano has taken the major leagues by storm.
Well, those season numbers are just over 40 games, 11 home runs, 34 driven in. Talked about how hot he's been the last couple of weeks. He is a big, strong man.
We've heard a lot about him over the last few years. The pitch is down. And you can see he's from the Dominican Republic, and of course, being from San Pedro de Macorís, he was originally thought of as a shortstop, if you can imagine that. He's about 230 now, was around 190 when they signed him, and he has developed into this slugger. who strikes out a lot, we've seen, and hits the ball hard everywhere.
And they actually list him at 262. I was like 6'4", 262. I might make you defensive end. Give you a scholarship and let you get after the quarterback.
Yep. There's a big cut and a miss, and it's 1-1. He had Tommy John surgery a couple years ago, and that delayed his development.
Now, he hit 2013. He hit 35 home runs and drove in 103 runs in the minor leagues. And remember, that's a 5-month season. They usually are ending at the beginning of September and then miss a year.
That's a strike call. 1-2.
Well, now you have the opportunity to go for the strikeout. This good fastball here by Nathan Carnes, down and away. Look at the location on that pitch. Everything down in the zone. But this guy is susceptible as anybody to the punch out, and you got a chance here.
Yeah, his strikeout rate is enormous, along with his power.
Yeah, nothing small and tiny about this guy.
Yeah, so far he's striking out a little over 42% of the time that he's up there. He's got 11 home runs in 44 games, so that's a pace for a little over 40 home runs if you spread that out over a full season.
Now, he doesn't have much in the way of a stride. I mean, so he can let the ball travel and just rely on strong, quick hands and brute strength.
And he started to go, checked on the pitch, covered up by Casale. Let's take a look at this.
It's going to be a changeup down and in. You see, look at just very little stride. I mean, there's very little wasted movement. But he always does take a big swing, so you can find some holes here or there. But if you hang it, usually doesn't end up well.
High fly ball, straight away center. Kiermaier all the way to the wall, and it's gone. There's that power. A 3-2 fastball, and with one swing of the bat, it's 3-0.
And when you look at the replay, watch the high finish. I mean, he hits this ball, has nice high finish, and that just leads right into that carry to dead center. There's the fastball, and it is center cut. And look at that finish, just up high, strong, catches it out in front.
Well, here's the phantom cam, and boy, that is some contact.
And that ball was hit so high. There's a lot of drama waiting to see if that was going to come down in the glove of Kevin Kiermaier or over the wall in center field.
And now strike to Trevor Plouffe.
And watch how high this thing's hit, let alone how far. I mean, he's got time to go back, time up. Too far.
The strike. And it's 0-2. 102.8 off the bat of Miguel Sano, who's just hit his 12th home run. Now with 37 runs batted in. Plouffe is out, missing the fastball up. So that's the second out of the inning, following the 3-run home run.
It's going to have to be one of those games. We've seen this play out before. The Rays get down early, and they're going to have to try and chip away. And guess what? The first inning struggles of Nathan Carnes continue.
Now Eddie Rosario, a cut and a miss. That's a strike. So we've already witnessed the power of Sano. And has had everybody in the American League talking about the prowess of his bat. 0-2. The fastball. Fly ball into right. Sizemore coming in is there. So the Twins are out in the first, but on one swing of the bat by Miguel Sano, the Twins take a 3-0 lead with the Rays coming in to hit. For the Rays tonight, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Grady Sizemore will lead it off, followed by Desmond Jennings up in the number 2 position. Evan Longoria bats third in front of John Jaso, the DH. Then Logan Forsythe and Asdrubal Cabrera, James Loney, Kevin Kiermaier, and Kurt Casale, 7, 8, and 9.
Well, Urban Santana taking the mound tonight for the Minnesota Twins. You know, after coming off a suspension, his first 4 starts, stellar. 2-0, 2.60. However, the last 5 have not gone so well. An 0-4 record and 8.46 earned run average. So the Rays, down 3-0 here in the first, maybe facing the right guy.
So here's Sizemore starting tonight at 236 with 6 home runs. He looks at a strike to start the Rays half of the inning. Santana in his career 6-6 against the Rays. The last time they faced him, he was over in the National League when he pitched for Atlanta. A 1-1 count. Little number. That ball stays fair, does it or not? That's a foul ball. Andy Fletcher calling the balls and strikes, and he was right on top of that call.
Yeah, and Kurt Suzuki coming out of his crouch trying to steal it out here, trying to get to this ball before it goes foul and retire Sizemore, but absolutely Andy Fletcher right on top of it.
Twins shift for Sizemore, and he's out on strikes. That pitch had some bite, down and in.
Well, let's take a look at the Minnesota Twin defense and see how it's going to line up here tonight. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield, left to right, Eddie Rosario, Byron Buxton, and Torrey Hunter. And across that infield, third to first, we have Trevor Plouffe, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, and Joe Mauer with Kurt Suzuki behind the plate.
Desmond Jennings hitting second, and he lines it over the head of Escobar into left center. He'll make the turn at first and hold there with a single. Jennings starting the night at 263. Well, the Rays have a base runner.
Well, a 3-run lead. He's going to come right after him. That pitch meant for the outer portion of the plate ends up down the middle. Desmond Jennings. This is a team that's not going to waste a whole lot of time. They get their pitch out over the plate,
The Rays have been swinging.
It's been a little bit of a change for the Rays in the month of August, and we've seen the offense revived. And interestingly enough, they're still seeing a good number of pitches, but they've just been more aggressive. And there's a base hit into right off the first pitch. Jennings on his way to third, and the Rays will have men on the corners.
Yeah, so you can tell me all about how it's not about them being more aggressive, and I'll show you the last 2 at-bats and tell you that it is. This is a guy that likes to establish his fastball early in the game. First pitch fastball to Jennings, base hit. First pitch fastball actually well located, but Evan looking to go out that way, and he swings at it. Now you got runners on first and third. 2 pitches after a strikeout.
Not only have the results been better, and of course everybody's going to feel good when the results are better, but I think that approach is refreshing to the hitters themselves.
You turn them loose.
Yes, it's almost as if they're taking an action that is a reactive activity into a more of aggressive approach. They're taking the situation in hand, and it's worked out for the Rays in the month of August.
You know, you can make the case about seeing the same amount of pitches, but there's a lot of different ways to see a lot of pitches.
Absolutely.
You know, you go up there and want to work out at bats, grind out at bats, you'll see a lot of pitches. If you're aggressive, then all of a sudden pitchers notice that. Now they start to nibble early in the count, and you see other pitches because they're pitching from behind. So, you know, being more aggressive doesn't mean seeing less pitches.
2 strikes the count on John Jaso.
You saw this at-bat right here. What was the first pitch to Jaso? Changeup. Next pitch, slider. Another slider, recognizing that this team is looking to swing.
Jaso was in the cleanup spot on Sunday in Oakland. 0 for 2 with a walk. Back in there in this opening game of the series against Minnesota tonight. And there's a take on a pitch breaking down and in. Another slider. 2-2.
And he's not going to leave the fastball. You can tell it right now in the approach. If Santana decides 4 straight off speed, here comes the heater, he's not going to sneak it by John Jaso.
And a ground ball, second base, Dozier to second 1, first base 2. Dozier, Escobar to Mauer, and they get the double play. Rays leave 1. Toyota, let's go places. By Outback Steakhouse, curbside takeaway. By Just for Men, mustache and beard, your best beard ever. And by Morgan Auto Group. Rays and the Twins through the first. And here is Torrey Hunter to lead off the second. He takes the first pitch for a strike. Fastball in around 90. Hunter, Suzuki, and Escobar. Pitch down 1-1. Veteran outfielder Torrey Hunter hitting .235. He's hit 18 home runs. He can be an aggressive hitter up there.
Well, still showing tremendous bat speed for his age, as many years and as many swings as he's taken in this game, but he definitely wants to get extension. That swing can get long, but still pretty quick.
High fly ball, short right. Sizemore puts it away. So one gone. Houston jumping to a 5-0 lead in the top of the first on the Yankees. Dallas Keuchel pitching for Houston tonight. Nova starting for the Yankees. 5 runs in the first for Houston.
Boy, how good are you feeling if you're an Astro fan? A 5-run early lead for Keuchel? We'll see.
Kurt Suzuki takes the breaking ball away. Upstairs. So the breaking ball, fastball missing, and it's 2-0. Carnes with a 19-pitch first inning. Touch for the 3-run home run by Sano. And he's behind Suzuki. Sano giving new life here to this Minnesota lineup. You pop him in the middle of that lineup. There's ball 4 to Suzuki. So with 1 out, that puts the Minnesota catcher aboard.
Isn't it amazing how you can take a below average offense all season long that had overachieved in the standings, but you add that one potent bat to the middle, and all of a sudden
it makes everybody better.
It does. Makes it dangerous. You know, he, like I said, you'll see him in this series. He's going to strike out a fair amount, but you saw what he's capable of with one swing.
Yeah, and a fair amount is an accurate and fair assessment, because he's on pace to strike out 239 times, something no hitter has ever done in the history of Major League Baseball. In fact, only 6 times has there been, not 6 hitters, there have actually been 4 hitters 6 times. Batters have struck out over 200 times in the major leagues. And Mark Reynolds, who struck out 233 times in 2009, that's the top of the list. He's done it 3 times. But Adam Dunn, Chris Carter, and Drew Stubbs, the other 3. So 4 hitters, a combination of 6 times, over 200 strikeouts in a single season.
Remember the standard bearer used to be like, well, he's a Dave Kingman or a Rob Deere, and they didn't even approach.
No, in fact, Kingman, his top strikeout total was 156, and if you go looking at all of the individual strikeouts, he is 168th on the all-time who strikes out the most list in a single season.
Kidding me?
Little looper into shallow center. Suzuki's going to head to third on the base hit by Escobar. That was a golf shot right there.
You know what? That's a good changeup by Nathan Carnes. It's working down and away from Escobar, and watch what he does, how he gets to this. Good changeup, puts it in a good location, and come on. 4 or 5 inches off the ground. he's able to go down there, lengthen the swing, and flop it out into right center field. That is a frustrating hit to give up, especially because it moves a man over to third with less than 2.
Yeah, to get you back around to the top of the order. You're already not happy about giving up that home run to Sano. And then you walk Suzuki in this inning, and then this sets up a first and third on that base hit for the top of the order, Buxton.
And a tough guy to double up if you are inclined to do so. Can obviously run well.
Buxton opened the game with a base hit. And the fastball is by him, 0-2.
Well, so far in this at-bat, not trying to be too tricky. And you're up 0-2. This is put-away time.
He lays off. The off-speed breaking ball. 1-2. Twins have won 4 in a row, coming off a sweep of the Orioles in Baltimore. And a cut and a miss. He chased that one. The curveball strikes him out. 2 gone.
Now that's what Nathan Karns is able to do. If he's able to get you to 2 strikes, he can throw that curveball 2-3 times in a row. This one he presents just a little bit better in the zone above the knees, and Buxton could not lay off the second one. And that's a big, big strikeout.
That'll be Brian Dozier. Dozier's having an outstanding year. Came into the game hitting only .245. But when you look at his production and what he means to this team overall, and at that position at second base to get the offensive production they have from him, that is a major plus for the Twins.
No question about it. I mean, he's got, power numbers. In this day and age, he's 25 jacks.
One ball, no strikes.
And you just don't expect it either. He's not the biggest guy. He plays second base. You're expecting him to be, a sprayed around, good on base guy. But he really is power and production.
That'll be a strike, and the count is 1-1. Well, you can see the extra base hit leaders in the American League. All right, Donaldson, sure. Nelson Cruz, absolutely. Mike Trout, sure. And what Martinez has done with the Tigers, fine. And in the middle of all that, Brian Dozier. That's impressive company right there. But in 2-1, we've talked about the Rays being a little more aggressive. Tom Brunansky, the hitting coach of the Twins, believes in that approach. And he's there as a constant reminder to this lineup to be that way.
And he's getting some horses, some young horses to be able to do that. You think about the approach of a Sano and obviously what Dozier's doing. Torrey Hunter can be aggressive. The Rosarios, the Escobars.
Two-1. There's a strike. Took a little something extra off that curveball. This curveball is usually pretty hard. He dropped that one in there. Got him looking. 2-2 now.
Yeah, what that would be if you could start to change, because he's perfectly capable of doing that. Choke it back just a little bit deeper, have the hard curve, a little bit slower of a curve.
Fly ball into right. Sizemore is there waiting, and that will take care of this threat, leaving 2. Bottom of the second coming up. 3-0 Minnesota.
It's time for Diamondbacks presents baseball.
Of the second, and it's 3-0. It's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile.
That, that's fantastic, because that just spills over from the in-between inning nonsense.
Oh, man.
And I know where you were going with that. It's too great.
Oh, here we go. Bottom of the second, folks. A lot of baseball to be played. Gives the Rays a lot of time to try to make up this 3-run deficit. And with that in mind, getting Dozier there at the top of this inning might be a big out in this game.
Minnesota may regret not scoring there. First and third, 1 out, looking to add to their lead. You get the big strikeout and then the fly out of the dangerous Dozier.
First pitch to Logan Forsythe, and that's taken for a strike. Forsythe, Cabrera, and then Loney. It's a ball and a strike. All the way to the backstop. It's 2-1. Rays facing Irvin Santana. He's 32 years old. Won 14 games for Atlanta a year ago. Was 14-10. There's a base hit through the hole on the left side. Well struck by Forsythe. Well, 3 of the first 5 hitters have hits. Unfortunately, there was a double play mixed in there.
Well, and all of them on the first fastball that's close. And here, behind in the count. That's something that Irvin Santana can't do, especially this year. The numbers bear it out that when he's pitching from behind, the offensive numbers against him just about double. So he really needs to pitch from out in front. But if he's going to do that with the fastball, we're watching this lineup take good swings at it so far.
As Jubal Cabrera. Cabrera starts the night at .264 with 9 home runs. Cabrera with some big hits on that road trip, including a home run and a double in the Saturday game in Oakland when the Rays came back to win that game 5-4. It was his double that put the Rays out in front in the top of the ninth. Runner aboard with nobody out. Ball 2, so he's ahead in the count now.
Yeah, this is where the Rays, the momentum and everything starts to swing in their favor against Santana. You make him a little bit more predictable. You get a better pitch to hit. This game has one of those feelings where you're saying to yourself, in what inning do the Rays catch the Twins? You just feel like there are going to be opportunity after opportunity.
Well, it has been a tough stretch for Santana, as you referenced. He's 2-4 overall with an earned run average over 5.5 through 9 starts, and recently he's had his troubles. Popped up left side toward the bullpen and out of play. Well, there you see the breakout, first 4 and last 5 for Santana.
And it starts there. You know, when you're talking about walks and hits per inning, you're talking about almost 2 base runners an inning. Guess what? That's going to lead to this, which then will lead to that.
Yeah, the strikeouts way down, the walks way up, and the opposition hitting its way on as well. There's a long one down the right side, but it's going to be a foul ball. Well out of play. Line drive, base hit toward the gap, right center. Forsythe heading to third. He's going to be waved home by Charlie Montoyo. Forsythe will score. The throw to third's not in time, and Cabrera is safely in there, putting the Rays on the board. 3-1 now.
And at first thought, you're saying to yourself, how does that ball get to the wall? Right here, this is going to be a split little changeup, and it's off the end of the bat. Cabrera pokes it out into right center, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. Nobody gets to it, gets to the wall. That guarantees a run, and now a runner at third with nobody. And here come the Rays.
3-base hit, number 5 for Cabrera. So it's 3-1, and James Loney and the Rays have a man at third with nobody out. Loney, a ground ball, there's a base hit. Off the first pitch fastball. Loney drives in Cabrera. It's 3-2.
What was that, Dwayne? I'm telling you, when this guy wants to come out and fire a first pitch fastball, Rays hitters are all over it. That's been the theme here through the first inning plus. First pitch fastball, it's not in a good spot. Why wait around? Hammer it. And you're already within one.
So a 3-2 ball game. Man at first, nobody out. The hitter's Kevin Kiermaier. So the Rays right back in this thing. Into the dirt, snapped down to first, and Loney's back in. There's ball 2, missing with the fastball. That might have been. that radar reading at 93, and it's wide, so it's 2-0. There's a strike, 2-1.
Well, this is what you force a pitcher into. You know, the first pitch fastball, if we're noticing it, guess what? Irvin Santana is too. It's getting attacked and it's getting hit for hits. So all of a sudden now you start to nibble. Now you're down and in, ball one, fastball just off, ball two. Have to throw a 2-0 backdoor slider.
Ground ball back to the mound. Throw back to second. One, first base safe there. Boy, just the sheer speed of Kiermaier beat that play.
And that was remarkable because a chopper back to the pitcher, and you knew it wasn't going to get turned. Too much of a delay by both Santana and the shortstop Escobar right here. Have to wait a second, then throw. Escobar is going to throw flat-footed. Ain't going to get it done.
It's Kiermaier out of the box.
You could hear the ball go into Santana's glove before he put the bat down, and he still beat it.
Kurt Casale takes a big cut and misses. One out with a runner at first. Fly ball, center field. Buxton on the run, gets there to make the catch. 2 gone. So 2 runs in with a runner aboard, and the Rays get back to the top of the order. With Grady Sizemore. Sizemore coming into this game against Santana, 9 of 28 with a lot of extra base hits. He has 2 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run off Santana. Keeping an eye on Kiermaier.
Well, good speed. Probably looking to run here. 2 outs. Why not? Get into scoring position.
Rays have closed the gap to 1. They'd like to get Kiermaier into scoring position. Pitch is outside. And Santana rushing that delivery a little bit there with the idea that Kiermaier could be on the move. Which is down. 2-0.
Where you start paying attention a little bit too much to the runner, you don't execute your pitches, you put yourself here now in a bad spot. You got to come over the plate here.
Runner goes. Good jump. Pitch is down and the throw's not in time. Kiermaier steals his 14th base of the year.
Probably the easiest. And the high leg kick by Santana, the good jump. Almost no reason for a throw there.
You can see Escobar ready to take the tag down. There was nobody to put the tag on. He was already on the bag and almost across it.
Maybe that's what he was hoping for. Slide right over the bag and can't keep the toe on it.
Now Suzuki heads to the mound. It's a 3-0 count on Grady Sizemore. Forsythe started the inning with a base hit. Cabrera tripled him home. Loney singled home Cabrera. Kiermaier reaching on a fielder's choice is stolen second. 2 outs and a 3-0 pitch. Sizemore takes a strike. Ball 4. Sizemore heads to first. We get Desmond Jennings up there. First and second with 2 gone. The Rays pushing Santana a bit here in the second inning after that relatively quick first inning when the double play got him out of his spot. Desmond was left on in the first. It's a strike. Mindful of Kiermaier back there at second. First and second for the Rays. Jennings takes this one down. 1-1. Jennings hit a long home run in Oakland. There Friday night. It went down the left field line. Turned out to be the deciding run in that 2-1 victory. He takes ball 2. It'll be interesting to see with Jennings what happens here in the remaining games of this season with his power. That was a pretty close pitch. Andy Fletcher, the veteran umpire, good umpire, but he's not going to give a pitcher a lot of leeway on the very edges down there of the strike zone.
I would contend that he's not a good umpire.
There's a high chop down to third. Luke's throw is in time to get Jennings. And so the Rays get a couple runs. Forsythe and Cabrera score the runs, and it's 3-2.
The third inning. Remember the popularity of guys last year of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge? It raised $220 million worldwide. Well, now Major League Baseball involved in the month of August. Earlier today, you saw Kurt Casale, Chris Archer, and Raymond had the easy part of it as the president of the team, Brian Alt, myself, and also Steven Souza Jr., the recipients of an ice bucket shower. And guys, ALS has already been donated $100,000 by Major League Baseball this year for the ALS Association. Even though the $220 million was raised last year, it could be close to $2 billion that are needed for funding to find a cure for ALS, we encourage you to go to alsicebucketchallenge.org for more information. That was a cold ice bucket challenge, guys. Back to you.
All right, it looked cold, I'll tell you that. 1-0 pitch to Joe Mauer is high, 2-0.
I like the anticipation, knowing it's coming right before it hits. Some of the reactions were
trying
priceless.
to prepare.
Yeah,
Yep.
Trying your very best.
Three and 0. It looked very refreshing. Very refreshing for those three guys.
You'd almost want to take a run before that and build up a good sweat and then take that.
To strike to Mauer, and it's 3-1. And ball 4, and just like that, Mauer has walked for the second time, and the Twins have the leadoff man on. Come to the Trop Sunday. That'll be August 30th. When the Rays play the Royals, and kids 14 and under receive a DJ Kitty drawstring bag presented by All Children's Hospital, Johns Hopkins Medicine, while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Michael Sano, who hit the home run to center field, and a 3-2 pitch out to center in the first.
Well, we talked about his power coming into the series, and he didn't take very long to show us. Dead center field.
So he hit the fastball out. He's seen a couple of off-speed pitches here the next time up, and it's a 2-0 count. So Sano with 12 home runs. That's a strike, 2-1. And the Twins will tell you that they actually believe he has yet to hit a ball as solidly as he can. You know, that home run was a tremendous home run to center field. Hit it high in the air, carried a long way. And you can see his hits. You know, he's got 11 hits the other way, pulling the ball 27 times and 7 to center. But they're still waiting for him to make absolute solid connection and see what happens. There's a ball upstairs, so he walks. First 2 men on via the walk.
Well, there's been some inconsistency with the fastball command here in the early going for Nathan Karns. At times it's right on point, at other times he's had a couple of 4-pitch walks, and then the walk to Mauer, and now Sano. Jim Hickey out there for a little advice, maybe a little tweak of the mechanics.
Playing fantasy, MLB.TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.TV today. So with 2 men on and nobody out, a prolonged discussion with Jim Hickey out there. The Rays get some action up in the bullpen here in the third. Brandon Gomes has started to loosen. The Rays have gotten to within a run here in this game. It's 3-2. Starting the day a game back of the Twins and 2.5 back in the wild card hunt.
This is how you would manage a playoff game. That's the feel of having a guy up this early. Nathan Karns, the 4 walks is the reason why. And right there, it's been the fastball command that's just been a little off.
So 1-0 to Trevor Plouffe. Hot shot to third. That's one, and the only one they're going to get. Plouffe with a line drive down to Longoria. And boy, as soon as he caught that ball, he was looking all over the infield for a place to get another out.
And if he looked at first base, that was your only shot with Sano. But immediately you're going to go to second, right there quick. And then by the time you go back around, Sano was starting to double back. That ball got on him so quick, and you could see where that was headed. That was trouble. Yeah, always looking to make that other play if you get a base runner that gets a little lax mentally and double him off.
Eddie Rosario, the left fielder. Is up. Rosario's put together a good year. Came into the game hitting .274. Foul, that's how to play, and the count is 1-1. Rosario and Sano have been good friends coming up through the Minnesota organization. Sano's at first, Mauer's on second with Rosario, the rookie, with a 1-1 count. One and two, fastball by him there. A miss. A nice job there. Got ahead of him and then came back with the off speed with the change.
Get ahead and expand. And I'll tell you, coming into this ball game, wondered if Nathan Karns would use the changeup. Maybe not as much as he did in his last start against the Houston Astros. He was off the chart with changeup usage his last time out. But would he continue to use it because it was such a good weapon against the Astros? And we've seen it a bunch here against this Twins team.
It's Torrey Hunter. He went after that one. Strike one. Starts it with the curveball. Two-man aboard via the walk. 2 outs. One and one. Upstairs, 2-1. Cut the miss. 2-2, had him out in front on the change.
Well, you like the fact that Karns is not afraid to use this to righties and to lefties. And that's a good one. Good time. 2-1.
And to the backstop. That was the fastball. And both men move into scoring position.
Well, Nathan Karns is at the top of the list for wild pitches. Typically, almost every one of them have come off the curveball. You understand the way that he's able to spin that into the dirt. That is a badly yanked fastball.
Well, he got a big out on Dozier in the second, and now he's going to try to do the same thing with men at second and third in the third inning with Hunter. A full count. Mauer third, Sano at second. And a little looping base hit into left center for a base hit. Mauer scores. Sano crosses the plate. Boy, how unfortunate is that?
Those 2 walks, you thought that Nathan Carnes was going to be able to wiggle out of that jam. Had 2 outs and 2 strikes, and it was a changeup. And Torrey Hunter, the ball just stays up and out over the plate, and he's able to get to it. Didn't hit it hard, but he got it out into a good spot, and the Twins get those 2 runs right back.
You can see Carnes upset with himself there. And again, it's a 3-run deficit. Here's Kurt Suzuki. Swing and a miss. Boy, there's just something about the nature of this game. If you walk 2 men to start an inning and wild pitch them into scoring position, even if you get 1 strike away from getting out of it, the game's just not going to let you do it.
No, it more times than not, you're right. It comes up and it bites you.
0-2 on Suzuki. He's ahead of him. Boy, that's a frustrating thing about this game, too. You get so close, and all of a sudden you're down by 3 runs again.
I mean, he was right there. That 2-1 changeup to get to 2-2, and you had great feelings about how this inning would end.
High foul. It's headed into the stands. Out of play. Well, 4 walks tonight issued by Carnes, and 3 the Twins have turned into runs. Hunter back in at first. Hunter driving in his 62nd and 63rd runs of the year. Just turned 40 last month. One ball, 2 strikes. How close that pitch was.
You know, without the 4 walks, that may have ended the inning.
Did he go? He did not. And it's 2-2. Three-run first, 2 runs in the third. The 2-2 to Suzuki. Fly ball back into left. Jennings will go to the track and makes the catch as he started to reach for the wall. They scored 2, bottom of the third coming, 5-2 Minnesota. all season. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Bottom of the third, we'll find Evan Longoria leading off here against Santana. Well, the Rays closed the gap to a run with 2 runs in the second inning. And they're going to have to go back to work here as Longoria, who's 7 for 16 in his career against Santana with a couple home runs. Takes this pitch down and away. Jaso next, and then Forsythe. 1-1. Breaking pitch. So far, neither of the starting pitchers, Carnes or Santana, happy with their command in the early part of this game. High fly ball to center. That's going to be caught by the young outfielder Buxton. 1 away.
Well, and when Santana has come with a first pitch strike over the plate, the Rays are 4 for 4 or 4 for 5. Yeah, they're not wasting a whole lot of time. So now all of a sudden you start to nibble a little bit. You start to use the slider a little bit more. But certainly it has not been a breeze for Santana. And that's why you think the Rays, with their approach here tonight, just keep chipping away. Come back right at him.
And John Jaso takes a strike and an opening slider there from Santana. So that's becoming more the rule with him now. Working his way second time through the lineup. 1-1.
Well, that's when he's done his best work. The second time through the lineup, the numbers against him the lowest of any trip through. Making adjustments.
This one skips to the backstop. It's 2-1. Logan Forsythe on deck. Liner toward right center field. That's in there for a hit. Jaso going to head to second, and he will make it ahead of the throw.
That ball right there was played into a double by Byron Buxton. You know, we get spoiled. You watch Kevin Kiermaier go after a ball in center field. He goes after it as hard as he can. This is a changeup that gets hit out into right center, but Buxton takes a very lazy angle towards deep right center. He's already shaded that way, but look at him. Just kind of nonchalant deep into right center, and that's why John Jaso's at second base. You cut across there, not hesitating, because he sees what's going on out there.
So Jaso with his 11th double. And there's a fastball that finds the zone to Forsythe. Strike 1. It's low, 1-1. Well, here we are again. The Rays with a man in scoring position with a chance to chip away at this deficit, and Matt Andriese is up in the bullpen. One and two the count to Logan. Takes a little more off the plate there. 2-2. Well, the Rays have had runners in scoring position in each of the 3 innings. They got 2 runs in the second. Ground ball third. Luke will make the throw to first, and holding at second is Jaso. Well, 2 outs now, and it's going to be up to Asdrubal Cabrera, who tripled to set up the 2-run second inning. He tripled home Forsythe and then scored on Loney's following base hit.
Oh, a change up down and away, and he placed this perfectly. Splits the defenders right to the wall. Cabrera just continues to swing a hot bat. I mean, he has been very productive for the Rays. I guess you got to go back about a month now. Seemingly forever.
Takes a good look at that one. Over but low. And an opening slider again. Leans away from the fastball. It's 2-0. Three balls, no strikes. It's James Loney on deck. Santana behind Cabrera. Santana had a long run with the Angels, originally up with them in 2005. And he walks Cabrera on 4 pitches, and the Rays will get the potential tying run to the plate in James Loney.
And this is one of those ways where you start to see more pitches. You know, you've been aggressive on a guy, all of a sudden he's throwing first pitch breaking balls out of the zone, then he falls behind, he continues to nibble, now you get a walk. And James Loney, he had a nice at bat his first time up.
Loney single homer run in the second inning.
And that was on a first pitch heater. Hammered it right in the hole between first and second.
This one in the dirt. A slider again to open this sequence of pitches. Upstairs, a fastball out of the zone. Now it's 2-0. So the Rays with an opportunity trying to come back from another 3-run deficit.
And getting some help.
There's a shot into right field, deep into right center, and that ball's off the wall. Jaso scores. Cabrera will score. It's a double for Loney, and it's a 1-run game again. Here come the Rays right back. It's 5-4. Loney 2 for 2. That's his 11th double.
Well, you come with another split changeup here. This is just a BP fastball. James Loney all over it. Santana right now just cannot find any mix of pitches to keep this Rays lineup off balance. And you feel like it's just going to continue to happen. Like I said earlier, what inning do the Rays catch the Minnesota Twins? Maybe this one.
Well, a trip to the mound. Neil Allen heads to the hill. It's a 1-run game again, so the Rays put up a couple. James Loney, who was handed a 1-game suspension for the ejection and bumping Paul Nart the other night, used that called strike and Suddenly he was ejected from the game and contact right there. So Dart ejected him, and Loney decided that since he has an appeal, he'll follow that pursuit. Meanwhile, here's Kevin Kiermaier, and he takes the pitch upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. J.R. Graham up in the bullpen down the left field line for Minnesota. Upstairs, fastball, it's 2-0. A strike. It's now 2-1. Loney at second, time called and granted. Double walk and a double. With 2 outs, the Rays have scored twice. Liner into center, there's a base hit. Loney's going to be sent to the plate. The throw cut off, and the Rays have tied this game at 5. Kevin Kiermaier comes through.
Well, it was the 3rd inning, Dwayne. The 3rd inning when the Rays were going to catch the Twins. You knew it was going to happen. You just had that feel. Another fastball, not located. I'll tell you, the Rays haven't missed too many of those.
See Loney off second.
And he got a good secondary lead, and he's going on contact, so he's going to score easily.
And that's going to be it for Santana. He's been struggling in his recent outings and knocked out in the 3rd of this game. $15% or more on car insurance. And by Checkers, Epic Meals, Epic Deals. Kevin Kiermaier with a base hit, scoring James Loney from second. And this game is tied. So Kiermaier aboard with Kurt Casale about to step in against J.R. Graham on in relief of Irvin Santana. There goes Kiermaier, and he's going to make it without a throw. So a stolen base. Now Kiermaier, with his second steal of the night, is in scoring position.
Well, we alluded to the fact that they probably didn't need to throw down on the first stolen base attempt. In this one, they don't. I mean, another good jump off the high leg kick by Graham, or I should say the full leg kick. And another swipe.
Oh, and a cut and a miss, and there goes the bat behind him.
That's how excited hitters get at hanging breaking balls. Curt Casale saw a spinner, and he wanted to crush it.
Anticipating great things, and then the agony of a swing and a miss, and there goes the bat.
Too late.
Graham on for the 34th time. Ball, 2 strikes.
Well, I'm not sure that when this ball game started, these two teams tied in the wild card race, that they envisioned the first 3 innings to go this way. Already Graham in the game for the Twins. You wonder if Andriese is coming in to the game for the Rays. Certainly still warming. That would lead you to believe that it may happen.
Well, ball 2, down and away. Fastball out there. And a cut and a miss. Casale out on strikes against Graham. But the Rays come up with a 3-run third. James Loney's double closed the gap to 1, and Kevin Kiermaier's base hit chased home Loney with the tying run. All tied at 5. Beginning Thursday, September 3rd, when former Michigan quarterback Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as head coach of his alma mater and leads the Wolverines against the Utes of Utah. And the only place you can see it is on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Matt Andriese, the new pitcher for the Rays. On to the 4th we go. The first pitch to Escobar is a strike. 15th appearance for Andriese with a record of 3-3. There's a strike. 0-2 the count to Eduardo Escobar. Up there, and it's 1-2. So Carnes worked 3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 5 runs, all earned, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, a home run, a wild pitch, and 68 pitches tonight. And there's a wave and a miss by Escobar. He's out on strikes to start the 4th.
Boy, this ball coming out of the hand of Matt Andriese was never a strike. You see right there, a little changeup off the plate, stayed off the plate, and Escobar really expanded.
So 1 away. Andriese entering the game here in the 4th. Now he faces Buxton, the center fielder, and throws him a strike on the outside edge. Cut to that one. 1-1. Daniel Nava is in the game as well, taking over in left in the place of Desmond Jennings. Two and one. Tap. 2-2. Five runs, 8 hits for the Rays. 5 runs, 4 hits for the Twins. Upstairs, so after getting the jump on Byron Buxton, the count is full. And there's a walk. So he loses Buxton. Andriese pitched Sunday in Oakland. Credit for 2/3 of an inning and was charged with 2 runs in that game.
Well, and that's the one thing that Andriese does give you. I mean, a starting pitcher coming out of the bullpen, coming into a game this early, if you want innings and need innings, he has that ability to give you some length. Obviously, the Rays bullpen now going to cover what you hope is just 6 innings. It's a lot of outs and a lot of pitches.
Brian Dozier moved to first, and Buxton is back in. Buxton with a steal in 3 attempts this year.
He was 22 of 25 in the minor leagues.
In a bit to Dozier. Yeah, Buxton spent a good part of the year at AA and then went to their AAA affiliate on a rehab assignment. And a move, he's back in there. Largely considered the top prospect in baseball coming into this year. There's a strike and it's 1-1. Dozier with 25 home runs on the year. He had 23 all of last year. And a cut and a miss. It's now 1-2. move over to first. Been base runners all over the place tonight. In every half inning, we had a base runner. Runner goes. Pitch swung on and a drive deep to left. That ball's got some carry and will get out of here. A fastball hit out on a 1-2 pitch. And Minnesota's back out in front 7-5.
A couple of things here for the Rays. Number one, love the elevated fastball. Matt Andriese has had a lot of success with that pitch in a 1-2 count. Here's the problem. You look at the scouting report on Brian Dozier. He's a high ball hitter. Likes the ball up in the zone. Very rarely do you see a guy get on top of one right there. That was borderline tomahawk. Let her high and catch it flush and get it out of the yard. But he is a guy that prefers the fastball up.
So the Twins right back out in front on the 26th home run of the year for Brian Dozier. Well, Mauer chops a 1-0 pitch to second. Forsythe throws him out for the second out.
Number 22, Miguel Sano.
So it's been one of those nights so far.
Well, and the walk again. The walk to Buxton. Comes back around to haunt, to score.
5 walks in this game, and they've led to 4 runs. 4 of those 5 walks have scored runs.
Well, the good thing is the Rays offense has answered.
Yes. Sano, big cut and a foul ball back. It's 0-2.
This ball game is setting up to resemble a Vikings-Buccaneers score.
So we'll see another 2-strike pitch. One ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2. Sano's been on twice. He homered a 3-run home run in the first inning to start the scoring tonight. Walked and scored in the third. The 2-2 pitch and another full count.
And you know, for a guy that will rack up the strikeouts and the numbers speak for themselves, he's taken some off-speed pitches down in the zone without really even flinching. I mean, the pitch recognition has looked to be very good, except for there.
And there's strike 3 call. He's caught looking, but the Twins scored 2 on the home run by Dozier. 7-5 Minnesota. great moment in MLB history presented by Geico. How about this? This day in 2008, Grady Sizemore hit a home run to lead off the game, becoming the 14th American League player to join the 30-30 club. August the 25th, 30-30.
Pretty good. He was dynamic. He's played well for the Rays, but boy, oh boy, before some of the injuries have taken a toll.
Sizemore takes the first pitch high. 1 ball and no strikes.
Cover a ton of ground, center fielder. Speed, power.
And he takes this one down, 2-0. He's facing J.R. Graham. He was a Rule 5 selection last December by the Twins out of the Atlanta organization. 2-1, a fastball there around 91, 92. Upstairs, 3-1. Foul out of play, so the count is full. And ball 4. Sizemore is aboard. Well, that's going to get Daniel Nava up there.
And that's one way to answer. You know, that's the one thing. 2 3-run deficits already for this ball club, and they fought back to tie it. Now down by 2. A leadoff walk.
Well, Daniel Nava here against J.R. Graham. And the pitch is a strike. Nava's first plate appearance after taking over for Jennings in the top half of the inning. It's a foul ball. 0-2. Graham last year pitched in Mississippi in the Atlanta organization. Spent the entire year there, which was the AA level, and had some right tricep issues, tendinitis. Was 1-5 with a .555 at AA, and the Twins picked him in the Rule 5 draft, and here he is pitching in the big leagues. And that hits Nava, just got his pant leg. So the Rays put the first 2 men aboard here in the 4th inning, and they'll get down to the middle of the order in Evan Longoria.
Well, Minnesota just has not been able to seize the opportunity. They've been out in front one shape or another this entire game. But a leadoff walk, an 0-2 hit batter. It's been sloppy early.
Well, the Twins had some momentum coming off a 4-game sweep of Baltimore. Here's Evan Longoria. The pitch is away. 2 men on with nobody out. No more action in the bullpen. Neil Kotz is up. There's a strike. It's 1-1. Well,
here you go. You've been gift wrapped 2 base runners, and the heart of your order coming up.
Ground ball to third. Glove by Plouffe. Dozier 1. First base safe there. So the Twins get 1 out. The Rays will have men on the corners.
You know, maybe I don't get here early enough, but have there been days where the Rays have been working on their burst out of the batter's box? Because I'm going to tell you something. You can see some guys getting down the line in a timely manner. Evan Longoria from the right side looked like that was going to be an absolute double play, but he gets there, no question about it. Front edge of the bag, he's there ahead of the throw, and that's huge because you keep that runner over at third now with less than 2.
And it gets the left-handed bat of John Jaso up here with men on the corners. Jaso doubled and scored in the third. Fastball is up. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, that's where Jaso, he wants to get something up and out into the outfield. Keep the ball off the ground, get that run in from third.
Ball 2. 2-0. Base hit up the middle into center. Sizemore scores. Now it's a 7-6 game. Jaso driving in his 15th run of the year with his 2nd hit tonight.
Well, and right back and answering a bullet right back up the middle. Oh, that's demoralizing. A team just continues to jump out and you just continue to answer. And right now, Paul Molitor is searching for an answer.
Logan Forsythe is due up, and Kotz will get the call. That's it for Graham. Back and don't miss tomorrow's Wednesday night showdown presented by Mazda as the Rays take on the Twins at 6:30 right here on Sun Sports. Well, the veteran Neil Kotz comes on. Spent most of the year in Milwaukee, now with the Twins. 52 appearances overall. And here's Logan Forsythe to hit against him. pitch is a strike.
Well, right now, both managers looking for someone to stem the tide. 7-6 ball game here in the fourth. Rays still a couple of base runners aboard.
Down and in, grabbed there by Suzuki for a ball. It's 1-1. Two and one. So pitcher number 3 from Minnesota. Santana started, then Graham, now Cops. Liner into center field. That's going to hang up and will be caught by Buxton. It's the second out.
Number 13, Asdrubal Cabrera.
Now we'll get Asdrubal Cabrera to the plate. Cox has been with the Twins for 4 days now. Here's Cabrera. Pitch is inside, 1-0. Cabrera hitting over 300 against left-handed pitching for the year. Now a 2-ball, no strike count. Two and one. It's Loney on deck. Cox is behind Cabrera. It's a 3-1 count. There's a strike. Cabrera taking a move toward first base.
Well, Neil Cox not wanting to give in with a 3-1 fastball out over the plate. Comes with the slider. Down and in, borderline pitch.
Two runners go. The pitch is lined foul up the left field side.
Just could not wait back on that enough. Got the head out, good contact. I'll tell you, Asdrubal Cabrera, for as hot as he's been, it's been from both sides of the plate. And you see him efficient with the swing.
Three-two again. Runners on the move and a swing and a miss. He went up with a fastball and got him. The Rays get a run and now trail 7-6.
Rays still trail the Twins 7-6 heading into the top of the 5th. I caught up with former Ray Kevin Jepson, who was traded in the middle of a road trip to Minnesota. He said his first outing with the Twins was terrible, but he has bounced back quite well. And Twins skipper Paul Malador said he's been a really important addition to this bullpen, and he likes having the option to use him in the 7th, 8th, or to close, which sounds like a pretty similar role and situation that he was in with his former ball club. Dwayne?
All right, thank you. Here we go to the 5th inning with Trevor Plouffe leading off. Here's Kevin Jepson. You see his numbers in 12 games with the Twins in a pretty similar role as you would expect. Effective here, and has been overall very effective with Minnesota.
Hey, he really has. And how ironic, these two teams tied for the wild card race, and he's guys going to be leaned on to get Rays out in important parts of the game.
It's a ball and 2 strikes. Matt Andriese in relief of Nathan Carnes. We have gotten into the 5th inning of this game, and boy, what a game it's been for the first 4.
No shortage of action. But I'll tell you what, the walks, the hit by pitch, that has plagued both pitching staffs here through 4.
Well, these managers just looking for somebody who can calm things down a little bit.
I mean, that is it. You're right.
Paul Molitor and Kevin Cash. Twins come in 63 and 61. The Rays at 62 and 62. Liner into center. That will fall in front of Kiermaier. And Plouffe has a base hit. Well, you know, it's been one of those games when the opposing team, one hitter into the 5th inning, 8 of the 9 spots in the order have managed to be on base at least once.
Well, and that typically means that obviously you're going to probably lose that ball game. It's just one of those things. This is a 7-6 game.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Through 4 innings, 8 of the 9 spots in the Rays lineup has been on base.
I mean, it is. It's you take both of those by themselves and you say, oh, you're getting your doors blown in.
Yeah.
Well, very rare that you see that in the same game.
A 1-strike count on Eddie Rosario. One and one. Nathan Carnes made 68 pitches in 3 innings. Gave up 5 runs, including a first inning 3-run home run. But he walked 4. Andriese has walked 1. 3 of the men Carnes walked scored, and when Andriese gave up the walk to Buxton in the 4th, he scored. Now a bunt, third base side is foul. Takes it to 1 and 2. And there you go. You see Rosario, the only spot in this order not to reach Mauer's 0 for 1, but he's walked twice and has scored 2 runs. And a similar situation in regard to the Rays lineup. Lifted towards center. Kiermaier coming in to make the catch with an eye toward Plouffe at first, but he's back in there. That's the first out in the 5th, and it brings up Torrey Hunter. Hunter with a couple of runs batted in. Up the changeup into the outfield, chasing home 2 runs in the third. There's a pitch around the knees for a strike. Plouffe, the runner at first, and a move over there. He's back in. Rays were swept in Texas. They split in Houston 2-2 and took 2 out of 3 in Oakland on the road trip. And now back home, trying to make some headway. Foul right back. The fastball up around 89.
Well, how about the Twins? The Twins at the tail end of a long road trip. Got swept in New York and then swept Baltimore.
And a game ahead of the Rays in the wild card chase. We started the day a game and a half back. The Rays 2.5 back. A nice stop there by Casale on the breaking ball. And here's what's going on in that wild card breakout. See New York and Toronto, and then Texas, and then the battle begins. The Angels and the Twins a game and a half back. The Rays and Baltimore 2.5 back.
And you figure of those last 5 teams, you've got one spot. You know, if Toronto and New York just hold serve. Those other 5 ball clubs vying for a wild card spot. And the Rays, you know, you've got the Twins in this series, then the Royals, but then you go to Baltimore. So you've got a chance to do some work head-to-head against teams in that mix.
Two the count on Hunter. That's a strike call. Got him looking on the fastball at 90. And Hunter is out number 2. Well, this is the breakout for the Rays. When you look at what they have left, essentially they'll have 22 games at home, 16 on the road, counting this one. Twins in Kansas City, and then another 3-city trip to Baltimore, New York, and Detroit before they get back against Boston on the 11th over that weekend. Here's Kurt Suzuki. The pitch is a strike. Fastball at 92. Runner at first, Plouffe. Strike the count on Kurt Suzuki. 2. When you break down the Rays' schedule, counting this one, of the 38 games they have left, 25 of those are against teams 500 or better. 13 teams under 500. 26 of the 38 will be inside the American League East. Liner into right field on an 0-2 pitch. Plouffe advances to second.
Well, why would you ever think that an inning would end in quick fashion? A nice job by Suzuki. Down in the count. You're going to get the, like a cutter maybe, away and just go right with it. Shoot it right into right center field.
Well, here is Eduardo Escobar. Escobar takes it inside. Plouffe at second, Suzuki at first. Escobar starts to go and checks. Two and 0 now, the count on Escobar. Foul ball makes it 2-1. Houston has a 9-0 lead over the Yankees in New York in the top of the 7th. Keuchel's throwing a 3-hitter so far. The 2-1 upstairs. Well, it's been a challenge for Andres tonight as well. Almost everybody who's gone to the mound, it's been a challenge tonight.
The command has been inconsistent by one and all. And that's why you're absolutely correct. You talk about Paul Molitor and Kevin Cash trying to find somebody that can get into a rhythm for a couple of innings. That's going to be the difference in the game.
Big cut there by Escobar, 3-1. He went after the fastball, let it loose up there and fouled it back. It's 3-2.
And right now, you'll take an end of this inning. You know, a couple of hits. You got some base runners out there. Keep the Twins off the scoreboard for 1/2 of an inning. And who knows?
Line drive, that's a fair ball headed toward the corner. Runners breaking there. Plouffe will score. Suzuki heads to the plate on a double by Escobar. And so 2 more runs score. And now the Twins again are up by 3. It's 9-6.
Well, I'll tell you what, if somehow the Rays are able to come back and win this game, it would be epic. I mean, how many deficits, 3-run deficits, would they have to overcome? It's already been a couple. A ball coming in to Escobar, and he's able to rip the hands through, keep it fair. And, of course, with 2 outs, everybody's running on contact. That ball kind of dies out there up the line. That's what allows Suzuki to get all the way around from first.
Escobar's 21st double. Here's Buxton. He shoots one toward the corner and right, and a diving attempt. That's going to bound over that wall. A ground rule double. Another run is in as Buxton doubles home Escobar. 5 runs now off Andres, following the 5 off Carnes, and it's 10-6.
Well, just a soft fly up the right field line, but you see Grady Sizemore where he's playing, giving it the effort, but that ball just able to drop in fair territory, a foot or two.
So a 10-run night so far for Minnesota. They've come back to put 3 more up in the 5th. Here's Dozier lifting a high pop foul. Who's going to get this one? That's Casale making the catch to finally end the 5th. But again, the Twins rebuild the lead. They're going to try to do it again in the bottom of the 5th. Join us at Tropicana Field Saturday, September 12th, for the always popular Star Wars night. Specially priced package includes a seat in the press level and a limited edition Han Longo bobblehead. And the force is strong with this one, so don't miss out. Visit RaysBaseball.com/special events for more details. Just a preview of what could happen right there. What will happen next?
I was afraid that night.
Yep, they walked right in, took over.
Well, I immediately tried to make the piece, knowing they were going to be behind us.
There's a shot back into center. Buxton turns completely around, goes back and makes the catch. And Loney is the first out in the 5th inning, facing Neil Contz, the lefty.
Number 39, Kevin Kiermaier.
Boy, the Star Wars nights, they're pretty popular. We've come across a number of them on road trips, but then a number of them that have been promoted while we've been on road trips.
Yeah, first time we've been visited in the booth.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Wanted to document that. It's Kevin Kiermaier. And the pitch is inside for a ball. Somehow in Oakland late at night, it didn't seem that unusual.
It never does. and you really don't appreciate it unless you've been to that stadium. You got the constant drums going the whole game. The fans can get a little sideways.
Yep. And great music in that park, by the way. Little tap down to third. Bluth takes care of this one, and Kiermaier is retired. So 2 up, 2 down here in the 5th inning, and that's the first time that has happened in this game.
In the 5th inning.
Yeah.
Well, look at the score. That's been the way that the game has moved along. There's been very inconsistent command, a lot of walks, a lot of bad counts, which leads to a lot of hits and a lot of runs.
Here's Kurt Casale. He shoots one down the left field line. That ball is going to get out of here. Home run just inside the foul line. And Casale has tweaked something as he rounds the bases. His 10th home run of the year. That's going to make it a 10-7 game, and he is not feeling very good at all right now.
Now, very, very ginger coming around the bases. Well, a breaking ball. He gets out and around, a little bit out in front, but able to keep it fair. And we'll see where you see anything. Right there, right there, absolutely. Right before he gets to first base, something went.
So the Rays pick up their 7th run. Down now 10-7. It's 1-0 here to Sizemore. And Sizemore hit by that pitch, and it also got the catcher, Kurt Suzuki.
Well,
it's not unusual in this game.
I mean, really, it was somewhat of a normal baseball game for 2 hitters here in this inning, and then a homer, and boom, boom, and right off the mask. And Kurt Suzuki doesn't wear, one of those pullovers. He's got the traditional helmet with the face mask on the front.
Andy Fletcher, the plate umpire, uses a mask similar to that. And a few years ago, he was hit so many times with foul balls back there. I think he became the first umpire to start using a mouth guard because of the impact of so many foul balls off that traditional mask.
It grinds your teeth right down to a nub.
When you can feel them again. Well, here's Daniel Nava with a runner at first and a strike the count. Marcotte's ahead in the count now, 0-2. He throws a lot of pitches that come in to right-handed hitters.
Yeah, well, he's got the the traditional fastball, the cutter, the breaking ball. And it's not like that fastball away has a ton of arm side movement. Stays pretty true.
One ball, 2 strikes. See who gets the last at bat in this game. The Rays, since they're home. That's a good thing.
I'm telling you, that's the best news of the night.
The way this thing is set up, 10-7 right now. We've had 17 runs and 19 hits in this game. With the home run by Casale, every spot in the Rays order has reached base. And that includes Nava, who was hit by a pitch and didn't have a plate appearance until the 4th inning. Jennings before him was 1 for 2. Sizemore has 2 walks and he's been hit by a pitch. Still a ball, 2 strikes to Daniel Nava. Nava swings and misses at the fastball up, out on strikes. We are through 5. It's 10-7 Minnesota. Scoring with a 3-run first inning home run, connecting off Nathan Carnes. The Rays came back. A triple by Asdrubal Cabrera highlighted a 2-run second inning. And then it was James Loney with the double. The Rays put 3 together in the 3rd to tie it. Didn't stay that way long. Ryan Dozier homered, a 2-run shot in the 4th, making it 7-5. Twins scored 3 runs in the 5th inning to up their lead. The Rays got a run in the bottom of the 5th to make it 10-7. Kurt Casale hit the home run, injured himself on his way to first. Rene Rivera takes over behind the plate, and the first pitch to Joe Mauer, leading off the 6th, is a strike. Mauer has scored twice. He has walked twice. 0 for 1 officially. 2. 2 innings for Andriese in relief of Carnes. Carnes gave up 5 runs, 3 innings. Andriese charged with 5 runs in the 2 innings he's been in there. See his pitch count now at 51. Carnes made 68 pitches. It's 1-2. Sano next, and then Plouffe. The count goes to 2-2 here on Mauer. Saw Casey Fiend there loosening in the bullpen. Sano on deck. Mauer fouls that pitch up. Andriese has made some good pitches, and then he has missed his location, so he's been inconsistent tonight in his approach.
That's been the theme. That's been the theme of the night for both pitching staffs. They'll show glimpses of what they're capable of, and then start to miss. Some of the misses have been, off the plate, leading to walks. Other misses have been out over the heart of the plate, leading to extra base hits and to runs. But no one up to this point has been able to put it together. And that's why the score stands the way it does. And neither team feeling very comfortable at this point about anything.
And there's a foul ball out of play. Getting word on Jennings, who left with a bruised left knee. And that's why Nava took over in the 4th inning. And a swing and a miss. Fastball finally gets Mauer, and that's the first out. Bases empty for Miguel Sano, who opened the scoring with his 12th home run of the year. And a first pitch strike. Cut and a miss. 0-2. Houston now has a 15-0 lead on the Yankees in New York. That game is in the middle of the 7th inning. Fly ball to right. Sizemore is there and makes the catch. So 2 up and 2 down, and for the first time tonight, the first 2 hitters in the Minnesota lineup are out to open an inning. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag #SSDataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Strike 1 to Plouffe. Plouffe opened the 5th inning with a single, and that led to a 3-run inning. And a strike 2 call. 0-2. Angels have an 8-6 lead in Detroit. That game's in the middle of the 7th inning as well. And strike 3 called. It's a 1-2-3 inning. That's an accomplishment tonight in this game. First time we've seen that. We go to the bottom of the sixth. 10-7 Minnesota. A doubleheader as the Red Sox take on the NL East leading Mets, followed by the AL East leading Yankees battling the Braves. Coverage begins next Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. A 10-7 ball game. Rays have out-hit Minnesota by 1, but they trailed by 3. Coming in to hit in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they'll face Casey Fiend, the fourth pitcher actually of the night for the Twins. Santana, Graham, and Kotz, and now the first pitch swung on and missed by Longoria. There's a strike. Kotz worked an inning and 2/3, gave up a run on the home run by Casale.
Boy, can the Rays parlay the 1-2-3 top half of the inning to maybe some runs here in the bottom half?
Get a little momentum out of that.
Could be a sign.
1-1. That's Xavier Cedeno up in the bullpen. The popper down the left side, angling out Plouffe, and he will make the catch right along the low wall, approaching the bullpen. Well, he had the wall on one side of him, and Escobar, the shortstop, trailing it.
Well, you were begging for this ball to get into foul territory. Plouffe gets a good look at it over there and just kind of twists right back into play by a couple of feet. Eyes never leave the baseball, always important here at Tropicana Field.
John Jaso takes a pitch down. Chop left side, cutting across Plouffe, and he makes the play. So the right-hander Fiend has retired the first 2 Rays in this inning. 2 gone. Forsythe takes a strike. Logan singled and scored in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 3. High popper right side. It's going to be a foul ball, but playable, and Mauer makes the catch. So the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. You see a trend developing. We go to the 7th, 10-7. At the Trop tonight. Have you seen the Outlaw? Capture Kiermaier Saturday, August 29th. Rays battle the Royals, and all fans receive a Kevin Kiermaier Outlaw action figure presented by Dex Imaging while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. We're through 6, 10-7. The Rays down by 3. This game's been back and forth. They were down by 3 at the end of an inning. Actually came back to tie the game 5-5. The Twins scored 2 in the 4th. The Rays won. The Twins 3 in the 5th inning, and the Rays won. So it's 10-7. And Xavier Cedeno on for the 50th time now. He's been excellent out of the Rays bullpen.
Well, yeah, as the season has moved on, the effectiveness of Cedeno has gotten better and better. And that's what the Rays need from here on out if they want to overcome a 3-run deficit with 3 innings to go.
Eddie Rosario, left-handed hitting left fielder in the lineup here for the Twins, leading off the 7th. Cedeno's pitch is inside. Cut and a miss. Cedeno coming into this game, a streak of 15 appearances, giving up no runs nor any walks. The longest streak in club history. There it is. 12 2/3, 19 strikeouts, no walks. High fly ball back into right. Sizemore is going to look up, and that ball is out of here. So he gives up the home run, and that snaps that streak and makes it an 11-7 ball game.
Well, where Cedeno has been so good, it's been with the hand action out in front on the cutter and the breaking ball. And this one just kind of flattens out, not a whole lot of movement to it. And Rosario able to get a good look at it and better contact.
Well, Rosario was the only spot in the Minnesota lineup not to reach base, so he has made his presence felt. Now a ground ball off the bat of Hunter, and that's going to get through into center field. The Rays had the shift on with Forsythe on the shortstop side of the bag, and Hunter hit it to the normal second base spot. So he has a base hit. 2 hits greeting Cedeno. Kurt Suzuki. Every spot in the lineup tonight for both teams has been on base. And here's Suzuki, who has walked and singled. And he bunts third base side, foul. Glove there by Longoria. A home run for Rosario, his 8th of the year. So Sano is homered for the Twins. Dozier homered in the 4th. And now Rosario. He's got a home run from Kurt Casale. Casale's 10th of the year. Down to third, Longoria to Forsythe 1, over to Loney for 2. 5-4-3 on the around the horn double play. So that removes Hunter. 2 outs suddenly with the bases empty.
Well, tailor-made right here. Nice hop for Evan. Good feed to Logan. And then flip it on over to Loney. That's about as routine as you can get.
Jenny Romero up in the bullpen. And a hot shot foul off the bat of Escobar. Escobar with a single and a double and 2 runs batted in. Down to third, fair, and a long throw from Longoria is on the money. A run in the 7th on 2 hits, the home run providing the run. 11-7 Minnesota. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the 7th inning. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. Chris Archer set to make the start. Pre-game show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, and we'll hear from Chris Archer, and Orestes will break down Joe Mauer and his approach to hitting. On to the bottom of the 7th inning as Jubal Cabrera sent the lead off here. Casey Fiend had a very brief 6th inning. There's 7 pitches, and he starts, or 6th inning, he starts the bottom of the 7th with a fastball, and it's 1-0. And a foul ball out of play, lifted down the left side. And a catch, how about that? Had her glove, was all prepared. That was a towering pop fly. And a nice catch right there.
You got to get the softball out first.
Way to go. Ground ball right side. Dozier with the pickup. Well, let's take a look at that catch. Something to celebrate. One-handed grab.
Almost took that glove right off her hand. Stay with it.
How cool is that?
And then reliving it over and over and over again.
Pitch is down and in to James Loney. Well, that's fun. Braves would like to add to that. Mount a little comeback here. Down by 4, starting to get into the deeper and later part of this game. Bottom of the 7th. We mentioned that 15-0 Houston at New York game at Yankee Stadium, with the Astros leading. And the edgewalker, Brendan Ryan, just worked a scoreless 8th for the Yankees. Loney shoots it into center. Buxton knocks it down. And Loney's on his way to second with the double. So Loney's 3 for 4 tonight. Loney dropped down to the lineup a little bit by Kevin Cash, and lo and behold, a 3-hit night for him.
Well, I think something happens like that to a guy like James Loney, you become extra motivated. And Kevin Cash said he wanted to get him down, almost took a header coming around first. I kind of wondered how that there was even remotely a play at second base, and it was a little stumble coming around first.
A piece of that one fouled by Kiermaier.
But Kevin Cash said he wanted to get him out of that cleanup spot, move him down a little bit, and hopefully get him to be able to see some pitches that he had not been seeing as the cleanup hitter.
There's a base hit drilled to center by Kiermaier. Loney's going to have to stop at third. The Rays have men on the corners. So the Rays do put up a threat here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Kiermaier again using the middle of the field. The pitch doesn't get to its location, and he just slaps it back up the middle. And you just keep pushing. You keep pushing. This has been a weird game. Might as well end weird.
Now Rene Rivera goes for the first pitch and skies it into shallow center with Dozier backing out. Here comes Hunter. Hunter makes the catch for the second out.
Well, Brian Dozier was going back after that aggressively. You got the veteran behind you coming in. It's got a good beat on it. And peeled off at the very end. That's Brian Dozier. He makes sure somebody's going to catch this ball, and Torrey Hunter's just kind of gliding in like, hey, I got it, guy.
You know, that's the way he plays. He hits the same way. He swings hard. He's aggressive up there, a run producer. He's after everything hitting the air out from second base.
You know, you get to this part of the season where you've got 40 some odd games, maybe a little bit less than that, whatever you've got left, not many, little over a month, and you have a chance to get into postseason baseball. And it's a race. We talked about it. Right now it's looking like a 5-team race for one spot. Well, now's not the time to hold anything back. You play all out forever, and then whatever happens at the end of the day, you can look in the mirror and say, you know what? I left everything out on the field.
Yeah, and the Twins never have any worry about how he plays the game.
No, and that's the way you need to play the game. Give yourself the best opportunity. There'd be nothing worse than the season ends, you miss the wild card by a game, and you know deep down inside that there were some games you took off.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good feeling.
No, not if you're an honest self-evaluator, wouldn't. But typically those guys play the game hard anyway, so you don't have to worry about it with those guys.
A 2-0 count to Sizemore. Look out, a shot into the seats up the right side, skipping through the stands. So it's 2-1. Brandon Gomes is up again.
He was up about 3 hours ago.
Eddie Romero got up earlier, started to loosen, and Gomes was up in this game much earlier. Foul out of play. It's 2-2. Twins get some action up in their bullpen as well. They've used 4 pitchers tonight. We have Trevor May up. Broken bat, the fly ball into center field. That's going to hang up long enough for Buxton to get there. Rays threaten, fail to score, leaving 2, 11-7. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Golden Diamond Source, and you can see this game started wild and has continued that way with a 3-run first by the Twins. Rays battled back and the Twins have answered. It's 11-7 as we go to the 8th, and it's the top of the order here for Minnesota against Eddie Romero, who's making his 8th appearance. He becomes pitcher number 4 for the Rays. 1 strike to count on Byron Buxton. Boy, there's something to give Buxton A little pause. That fastball at 96, and he was a little late there.
You better dial it up. That ball comes shooting out of Andy Romero's arm. An easy 96. Hey.
A little high on that one.
Well, that's the name of the game for Romero. If he's ever able to consistently command the fastball with his arm, just think about what he could do. I mean, moving the ball around, easy 96, 97.
And a cut and a miss. Quick work of Buxton. So that's the first out here in the 8th inning. Let's check in now with Todd Callis.
Dwayne, we're hearing of the news from the Rays clubhouse. Kirk Casale had to leave the game after his home run due to a left hamstring strain. Casale did it right before he hit the first base bag. So the Rays lose Desmond Jennings earlier in the night to a left knee bruise and Casale to a left hamstring strain. By the way, had Casale not been able to continue around the bases, it is a dead ball. You can pinch run and have somebody else finish out the home run trot. A couple people were asking on Twitter. Guys, back to you.
All right, way to go. He's covering the full spectrum of Kurt Casale's home run and then that little hamstring tweak. Two strikes the count here on Dozier. Dozier with the 2-run home run in the 4th inning. His 26th of the year. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2 the count. Two lined into left, and Nava's there to make the catch. So 2 gone.
First baseman, Joe Mauer.
2 up, 2 down against Romero. And here's Joe Mauer. Mauer with 2 walks, a ground ball, and a strikeout. And there's a first pitch strike. Well, the Rays retired Minnesota hitters in order in the 6th inning. It's been the only time that has occurred tonight. Romero has a chance to duplicate that in the 8th and a fly ball to left. Nava will go back to the track and make the catch, and there it is. 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. Bottom of the frame coming. 11-7 Minnesota. starts at 6:30, and Chris Archer, who's coming off that excellent outing. Hard to think you could be much better than what he was against the Astros in Houston.
He gave up a solitary single to Colby Rasmus. Other than that, the 11 punch-outs, just one walk, got some help defensively, but overall was absolutely dominant. And he stayed with the hard stuff and just said, my best will beat your best, and it did all night long. Got a Web Wednesday too, D-Wayne.
We do. Web Wednesday tomorrow.
Excited
about that.
Get yourself geared up for the 2 or 3 questions we'll get.
Daniel Nava's going to lead off against Trevor May. And Nava fouls the first pitch back. That's a strike. Trevor May started a game against the Rays up in Minnesota and Minneapolis. And the Twins won that game 6-4. So one of the 16 starts he made against the Rays. 1-1. Rays got 3 runs off him in 6 2/3. Tim Beckham hit a home run off him in that game. Nava hit by a pitch and has struck out. It's 2-1. It's 2-2. And he takes that pitch down. The count is full. Foul ball out of play.
Now that move from the starting rotation to the bullpen has allowed Trevor May to cut it loose as far as the arsenal goes. And you see that fastball, he's able to get that up there into the mid-90s. You don't have to pace yourself. You can just let it hang out. Similar to what the Rays have seen with Alex Colomé going out to the bullpen.
With foul ball. Here's a conundrum for you. You know, Nava stopped hitting right-handed when he played for the Red Sox. Well, he's come to the Rays, and he's 3 for 10 hitting right-handed for the Rays, and only 2 for 16 from the left side.
You know, a stat like that belongs in a game like this.
That is a foul ball back. And we'll update it with an 0 for 1 from the left side. I mean, the way he swung the bat right-handed, we were wondering why he stopped trying to hit right-handed. He had some good swings from the right side.
Yeah, I mean, first couple of hits were just bullets.
Yeah.
Right back up the middle.
And now he takes that pitch upstairs, and he's drawn a walk. May in the mid-90s with that delivery. So Nava's aboard, drawing a base on balls. There's Evan Longoria. Well, the Rays need some base runners, and there's a leadoff walk. Let's see, that might lead to something. Strike one. Rays need a big inning late, down by 4. They managed to overcome a couple of 3-run deficits to tie the game tonight at various points. Fly ball lifted into right. Hunter will be there to make the catch. One gone. That'll be John Jaso.
Number 28, John Jaso.
Frustrating night.
Yeah, and he got a fastball, thought he could handle. And you see that frustration starting to show itself.
Well, the Rays with a 12-hit night, 7 runs. They've out-hit the Twins by 1, but they trail 11-7. John Jaso with 2 hits, a run scored, and a run batted in. It's upstairs, 1-0. Balls, no strikes. It's 3-0. Well, Santana started. The Rays got 5 off him in 2 2/3. Graham, Kotz, Fiend, and now May. Rays have utilized Carnes, Andres, Cedeno, and Romero. And there's ball 4. 2 walks here in the inning. There's another base runner.
I mean, just self-inflicted wounds. That's got to be driving Paul Molitor crazy. You got a 4-run lead in the 8th inning, and you've just given the Rays 2 base runners.
And Logan Forsythe will bat. Logan scored the first run for the Rays when he led off the second with a single and was driven in on the triple by Cabrera. And that's a ball outside. Foul ball back. He got a fastball there and fouled it straight back.
We got some. So I think they cracked the glass there, D-Wayne.
I think he did right there. Take a look at this.
Taking a lot of shots over the years. Showing some cracks.
Two and 1. You know, coming into this game, May, as we mentioned, had started earlier, but he's made 17 relief outings covering 18 innings. With 20 strikeouts and just 3 walks, he's walked 2 in a third of an inning tonight. And he's behind Forsythe, 3 and 1 with Cabrera on deck. And with that pitch, the bullpen's going to get active again.
Bullpen probably should have already been active. You're going to get a chance here to get the potentially the tying run to the plate. One more misstep.
Brian Dunsing is up. And a big cut and a miss on a fastball.
No, he's got to do it again. And I take Logan Forsythe seeing 2 fastballs like that or being able to work a walk.
Three-two the count. And a cut and a miss. He threw another fastball. And Forsythe is out on strikes.
Now, I would have lost that bet. You tell me in a 3-1 count that Trevor May is going to be able to power 2 fastballs by Logan Forsythe. I'd tell you you're crazy. But he climbs the ladder, goes a little bit higher with this one, and just able to get it over the swing of Logan.
2 outs with 2 men on, and here's Asdrubal Cabrera coming on now. The triple and a walk and 2 runs scored. One and 0. Well, the Yankees get a run in the bottom of the 9th. It's 15-1 Houston. And I think Brendan Ryan worked 2 innings in that game. It's 1-1. Saw Brad Boxberger limbering down in the bullpen for the Rays. The Rays with 2 men on and 2 men out. So that's just in case. There's a line drive, but it's caught by Mauer. And that retires the Rays here in the bottom of the 8th inning. They'll leave 2 on. The 3rd out, a line drive. And we're going to head into the 9th inning with the score 11-7 Minnesota. On Rays Live, the post game presented by Checkers. Todd Callis and Orestes back together. They'll anchor the coverage. Kevin Cash will hold his press conference, and Emily Austin will have interviews from the clubhouse. We go to the 9th. Andy Romero facing McGill. Sano, and the pitch is upstairs. Sano homered in the 1st inning, his 12th home run of the year. Walked and scored in the 3rd, officially 1 for 3. And there's a strike call. 1-1. Well, we'll have to make sure that that's safe back there. Glass. Boy, how about that fastball there? Up. And it's 1-2. And he strikes out Sano. 2 strikeouts in this stint for Romero in an inning and a 3rd. The Rays staff with 10 strikeouts tonight. He powers him up.
Yeah, that's what it was. Power v. power. Up in the strike zone, 96 miles an hour. Well, those are the kind of matchups that you know how it's going down.
Trevor Plouffe pitches down, a ball, no strikes. Two and 0. Angels trying to hang on to an 8-7 lead in the bottom of the 8th in Detroit. Twins lead the Rays here 11-7 in the top of the 9th. 3-0 the count to Plouffe. Texas leading at home over Toronto in the bottom of the 8th in Arlington 5-4. Down to third, swinging 3-0, and Plouffe is out third to first. Longoria to Loney. They're in the top of the 7th in Kansas City with the Royals leading Baltimore 3-2. The Orioles coming in had lost 5 in a row. Swing and a miss by Rosario. So at the moment, pending the outcome of that Toronto game, you see Jepson up in the bullpen. The Blue Jays are in first in the East by half game. That's a foul ball, but they're down by a run right now. They started the day, the Yankees and the Blue Jays, with identical records. We'll see how that one turns out in Texas. It's up. The count is a ball and 2 strikes. And a liner into right center field. That ball's going to roll all the way to the wall. Rosario around second, heads for third, and he's got a triple standing up.
Well, you would have said Rosario is going to homer off Cedeno and triple off of Romero.
Yeah, not the greatest odds in the world.
No, but this was just a spinner in the middle of the plate. Didn't really have a whole lot of movement to it, and then Rosario was able to get it into a perfect spot in right center field, deep out there, split the defenders, and obviously he can run. Gallops into third.
Well, Torrey Hunter takes the pitch down in that big Houston win over the Yankees, 15-1. Dallas Keuchel wins his 15th game. He's 15-6. Two and 0 now. And that pitch is wide, but on the corner apparently, and it's 2-1. Foul right back into the screen. So each team with a dozen hits tonight, and the Twins have 11 runs, the Rays 7. And that is strike 3 called on Hunter. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 in this 2-inning stint for Romero. 11-7, bottom of the 9th coming. Sports brought to you by SunTrust. New checking options that work as hard as you do. By Kubota. To find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We're at Tropicana Field tonight, opening this series against the Minnesota Twins. Twins jumped out in front with a 3-run first. They lead 11-7 as we go to the bottom of the ninth, and the former Ray, right-hander Kevin Jepsen, will be making his 59th appearance of the year.
Yeah, one of the tops in all of the American League in appearances, and Kevin Jepsen has done a heck of a job for the Twins since heading over there in the trade.
James Loney will open the bottom of the ninth inning against him. Loney's had a 3-hit night. Takes a look at a pitch down and in. 1 ball, no strikes. Ground ball back to the hill. Sharply hit. Jepsen with the underhanded toss. Here's a look at Kevin Jepsen in a Minnesota uniform.
Well, we know he's got the good firm fastball, and of course that curveball can be nasty too. And when he's got them working in unison and syncs them up, it can be tough. And you see the numbers right there. That opponent's average of 111.
The Rays giving up 11 runs tonight, 11-7 to score. Pitch is down, it's 1-0. Most runs allowed by the Rays this year in a game. It's that 16-4 loss at home here to the Nationals. Liner into left, that's going to drop for a base hit. Kiermaier has his 3rd hit of the night. Rays pick up their 13th hit.
Number 44, Rene Rivera.
And here's Rene Rivera.
Anytime that ball has elevation the other way, a little bit easier to go that way.
And that ball is foul. Strike 1. Six pitchers tonight. Utilized by Minnesota. The Rays have used 4. It's away and it's 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Cut and a miss. Now it's 2-2. Interesting experience here for the Rays catcher. Rene Rivera been catching Jepsen, and now he's hitting against him.
Trying to think along with him. Now, what would we do here? I have seen enough of Kevin Jepsen's pitches.
A little piece of it foul. Still 2-2.
And a front row seat.
Runner goes, and the pitch is foul, out of play. Fastball in the mid-90s. A 2-2 count. High fly ball back into deep right. Hunter will go to the track for it and make the catch. Kiermaier will have to hustle to get back to first, and he is safe. He got back there just ahead of the throw to Mauer. He was breaking. Rivera gave it a ride, but Hunter hauled it in.
You see him get back, eyes make the catch, and then immediately, no hesitation at all. Strong throw back to Mauer, and took all of Kiermaier's speed to get back in there. Just ahead of that throw. A couple of guys that love to show off the arm.
Yes, they do, don't they?
Well, listen, you're out in the outfield, you throw well.
Why not?
You want to uncork some.
Well, the pitch is down, and Kiermaier moves into second base. Uncontested. 1-0 the count to Sizemore. Sizemore 0 for 2. Couple of walks. He's been hit by a pitch and has scored a run tonight. Jepson behind him, 2-0. Pitch popped up, a foul, and carries out of play. So it's 2-1. And a liner into left field, but Rosario's there to make the catch, and that ends this game. Minnesota takes game one of the series 11-7. The Rays out hit them by 1, 13-12, but they also leave 12 men on base to the Twins 5, and there are the totals for the Twins: 11-12-0 with 5 men left. For the Rays, 7-13-0 with 12 left. And the win will go to Graham. J.R. Graham gets his first win. Andriese the loss. He's now 3-4. 3 hours and 24 minutes to play this game. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. Rays and the Twins tomorrow. We'll be with you at 6:30 right here from the Trop. Rays Live, the post game presented by Checkers.